guys, welcome back to another video. So as you can see by my surroundings, I am still on holiday, but I couldn't help myself and I did some sewing. So a normal person goes on holiday and they take their clothing and all the necessities. I take a sewing machine. Yes. But I didn't just take it for myself now. I took it for my mother who actually lives on this boat. So that is the reason I have a sewing machine. So this whole tutorial is a little bit different from usual because of that reason. But I did have a lot of fun and I really wanted to share my experience with you all. So we'll just get to the video now. First things first, a pattern. So I was lucky enough to have a new pattern on the website that was perfect, which is the suit jacket. So this is the fabric that my parents had bought and I absolutely fell in love with. They had a little bit left over from making a tablecloth, so I absolutely had to use it. And this is why I started sewing the fabric. So it was really hard, but I managed to cut out all the pieces with the desired pattern pieces I wanted. And the reason it was hard was because it's such a nice fabric. So I have one of the collar pieces and then two of each of the other, and then two of the lining and one of the lining collar piece. So we're gonna start with the back. So the back just needs to keep in mind to keep a slit in the center back. And I am filming everything with one hand because I don't have a tripod. And the boat is moving because I'm on a boat. So sometimes it might be a little bit wonky. Anyway, we're getting there. So I'm going to be pinning this and making sure to leave a gap. So I'm pinning that gap specifically to remind myself. Yeah, remind myself. We'll get back to that. So let's sew that. So this is the little sewing machine that we got, or that my parents bought and I bought with me. It's a really cute little thing and I'm actually kind of jealous, although not jealous. It's just really cute and really light. It's like a quarter of the size of my sewing machine. It's hilarious. You can turn the light on and off. This is the reverse button, and then you can also do it without the pedal. Anyway, so let's do some sewing, and I am doing this the hard way with that foot pedal and the button, but it reaches the floor, which I discovered after this project. Anyway, it was actually a lot of fun. It's a little bit scary getting used to a new sewing machine. Why do cheap sewing machines always have to be a lot harder to figure out compared to expensive ones? But we're getting there. I forgot to leave the gap that I strategically placed a pin to not forget, so quick unpicking it is. And with that unpicking done, we actually have a little gap now for our stand. So let's do some overlocking, or in my case, let's do some zigzagging. And this is just to stop the fabric from fraying or unraveling. And that was really important for this project since this fabric was really fraying a lot. Anyway, as you notice, this is a little wheel that I have to turn. It did take a little for me to figure out when it was exactly on the right one. And with both of those little seams zigzag stitched separately or overlocked if you're lucky to have that, I miss it, we're gonna finger press the seam open. You can do a little top stitching, but I didn't trust myself enough with this sewing machine to do that. It was a little bit hard to manage for this. Anyway, it is time to continue with the side back pieces. So I'm just lining them up first before flipping it over. I do this quite a lot just to make sure that I actually have the correct curve, especially with some things that may seem more logical to do it on the wrong side. So yeah, just line it up first before flipping it around. So I have sewed this and gone ahead and zigzag stitched as well, because that just makes it a little bit easier to manage. Okay, so we're gonna continue with the front. So we're gonna grab the front and the facing, and we're gonna place one facing on top of the front with the right sides together. So I'm just showing on this pattern piece because I needed another hand, which I didn't have because of filming. But we're going to line them up and we're gonna sew all the way around. Just a little note, I don't actually know how to sew with like the lapels and the collar. This was my first time trying that out. I did the best that I could. If you have any tips and tricks on sewing this, please let me know in the comments down below or message me on Instagram, because I would love to know and make this jacket again in case I did that really wrong, which you'll see a little bit later. But for now, I did this and I top stitched it when I turned it inside out. Sorry, I skipped over that a little bit. But now we're going to continue with the side front pieces. So again, I made it lay next to each other before pinning it down. This is a big curve, so take as many pins as you need. As you can see, I do have quite a selection, and sometimes I have even more, so don't be afraid to pin the living heck out of it. It's important. It makes life easier. Sometimes. I'm clipping into those curves again, just like I did for the back seam, just to make it a bit better to fold out. And then I did zigzag stitch over the top. We're gonna just continue now with sewing the shoulder seams. This is what we're looking like. It is still open on the sides, that is correct. So the reason I'm leaving it open is for the sleeves, but we're going to do the collar next. So I'm taking the collar and the collar lining. I'm pretty sure they are just the same pattern, or there's a very slight difference, which I didn't really know. So I just got excited and I started sewing. I'm not sure if I should have, but on the pattern it does say like 2 marking points, and I took those marking points as leaving a gap, which is what I did. So I sewed all the way around on the top and down the bottom there, and just left the 2 little ones, and that's my gap. But I am wondering if I should have left the whole bottom bit open for sewing, which I'll get back to in just a moment's time. Because this is what we're looking like. So I've gone all the way around, zigzag stitched and everything. Now it's time to turn it inside out, or well, clip the curves. Sorry. Clip the curves like the little corners, and now flip it inside out. So what I'm looking here, and this is where I got really confused, is this is already hemmed, but then I have a thing sticking out. So eventually I decided that it's the same width as the gap that I left for the corner. So I'm placing that on top, and then this is what the lapel should, in the end, theoretically look like. And that is what I'm going with. So I feel like I should have left it open and then not sew in the other fabric. Does anyone actually know what I'm talking about? Because sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. I ended up doing it this way. Please let me know if that's correct or not. I need to know. But I decided to line this up as best as possible after sewing that little center bit and then top stitching down the sides there. And I'm doing this way just so it does stand up a little more, but I can get it to lay down flat, hopefully. It does actually work. It did lay down flat, especially since I didn't have an iron. That was something that bothered me. I didn't have an iron. But this is what we're looking like, and it's actually looking pretty good, so I'm going with it. No need to undo all of that work. Ah, great. Okay, time for the sleeves. Sleeves, everyone's biggest nightmare, or most people's, and that's because it's such a tight curve. And the best way to do this is just to line up the center and then pin, 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 and pin some more. And I'm pinning one side here, and then I'm pinning the other side. I am doing this with my hand pedal, and I'm really annoyed that I don't have so especially with this, I needed one hand to film, hence no filming. I got that in eventually. So now we're going to do some hemming of the sleeve. That is way too big, but I couldn't get it smaller to show you. But I did do a double roll hem, just like this, just get it a little bit narrower and fold it over twice. Just like this, and I'm going to top stitch that in place. Just a nice little finished hem, and you can see my mermaid still swimming with the navigation. So I'm gonna do that on both sleeves, and this is what it's looking like so far, so it's time to sew the jacket together. To do this, I'm just folding it inside out, right sides together. Yeah, inside out, outside in. It's a bit hard sometimes. Okay, so the outside is on the inside, and we're gonna do right sides together, sewing down. So I've pinned this, and we're gonna go down the sleeve and down the sides there. And I am zigzagging that to stop the fraying. And I did clip into like a little corner there for the sleeve, just to make it look a little bit nicer, so where the sleeve attaches. And this is what we're currently looking like. And it's actually looking pretty good. I'm not totally happy with the color, but it's looking pretty good. So here's a handy little tip. Just get a piece of chalk and mark on one side, do it quite heavily with the chalk, and then make a firm indent with the chalk on one side, and then if you actually just press it over, you will get a little transfer marking on the other side. So it is still paying a bit of attention, but that will take away a lot of the measuring, and you can get the snip or button in the right spot. And I'm also continuing by doing the hem, and I'm just folding the hem over once, and this little end bit does automatically fold towards the inside a little bit, which I'm really grateful for. And it was just easier to fold it over once, hence the once folded. So I'm going to be sewing 2 parallel lines next to each other, just to mimic a twin needle and like a finished looking not neckline, like hemline. And this is what we're looking like. I did sew a little button on one side that has a snap on the other side, and then also the counter snap on that side, of course. And this is it. This is it finished, and I'm actually really proud of this. It took a lot of work, especially since I am not that familiar with the sewing machine that I'm using. But it was actually really fun to experiment with it and just do something really fun. I mean, I got to sew on holiday. I get to sew every day, but I got to do it on holiday. And I am just so happy with how it turned out. She looks so beautiful and so relaxed, and honestly, she looks at home. Just looks at home on this ship. I do really hope you enjoyed this video. It was just a little something extra. I may make another version of this jacket in the future, but in the meantime, please leave a comment down below on tips on how to sew this collar properly, because I love to learn from it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and turn that notification bell on, and consider giving this video a big thumbs up, because I really enjoyed it and I hope you did too. Well, Izzy and I better go and catch our flight, and next time you see us, we'll be back home in a familiar place. Bye!